Hello, Gophers. You're listening to Go Podcast. I'm Dominic St-Pierre.
And I am Morten.
I realized that I need to pronounce the T at the end of the word because, well, as a French Canadians, we don't do that here. So that have the impact of the transcript that we are doing for this podcast. I was interviewing the author of Lisette the other day, and I was saying rust, and I was not pronouncing the T, so it kind of translated to something else. And I cannot edit that because that part in Transistor, the software that I'm using to host this podcast, this piece is not accessible, so I cannot even play with that. So sorry about that. It's my pronunciation as a Canadian that speak French.
Yeah.
What is going on with you, Morten?
Well, the usual the hardware incompatibility issues, as always, but mainly been working last week on getting... I spent a lot of time last week after we spoke, trying to fix my mic again and gave up and just right now recording on the iPad. So that was a lot of fun. Other than that, I have been doing a lot of rewriting the what I call the crate operator, the thing that runs on deploy query servers, getting that into something more sensible. I tried to skip corners initially to just get a working proof of concept up by having LLMs write a vast majority of it and focus on our platform, which of course ended up not really working as expected. So yeah, been fixing that in preparation for actually letting people other than myself onto the platform, and it's been great. It's always nice, to understand things that you created and not just verify that they work. It's such a underestimated thing that is if for a year or two, everyone, at least on Tech Twitter, just kind of forgot was a thing that you could do. Actually understand the workings. No, you just need to test it out and then you're good. It's no, definitely not. So I'm almost done with that. I'm gonna be building some onboarding for deploy query this week, and then I think I'm actually gonna let it sit a little bit and gonna do some freelancing again. Let it live its own life for a while. Yeah. So
nice.
That is most of what I have been up to.
How do you test this at the moment? Because I remember you saying that you don't have any UI at all at the moment. So how what is the path for you to test this operator at the moment?
I have staging and production set up separate. So my staging is just being completely dog-footed. What is it? I tried to get a testing setup, but since this involves a Debian system and then installing it and then running sudo and systemd commands, systemctl commands, there's not really clear path. So I am currently just testing this on staging, where sometimes if I break contracts, right, it's literally just SCPing a new binary into the staging server and switching the traffic. But for the most part now, the self-updating mechanism is stable. So I generally just push to staging. I have in my dashboard, I have a way to trigger updates across all servers. So right now I just trigger updates across all staging servers and then, test it out. I also have logs, live logging that comes into that also helps a bit now. So it's starting to be...
Oh, nice. So you're basically tailing the standard output of the operator?
Yeah. So everything runs in like a systemd service. So I basically just use journal CTL,
Okay.
and then with different durations, I do a little bit of filtering. So that is that is the logs for now. That's not necessarily going to be the long-term plan. I'm still also playing around with how I want to do telemetry. So you can actually search logs and do some
Nice.
do proper
Yeah.
log work, right? Because right now it is just like live pulling in the logs, so at least there is some visibility into what's going on. But once,
So how does it work? Is it like a WebSocket that your operator have with your server, and now the operator do some kind of tailing on the journal file, and it just send the data as it receive?
it's just an API request. So Datastar does the trigger the request to deploy create, and deploy create then triggers the request to the create operator, that then simply just runs journal CTL on the specified service. That can either be the application that is running. It can also be some of the services like Caddy or the operator itself. And then I just show that in the UI.
Okay, it does not refresh. So there's a new line in the log. You need to refresh. You need to click a button or something in your UI.
No.
Okay.
It's just right now. It's a little bit of a naive approach, because it's just Datastar that is just pulling on an interval right now. So the deploy create, the platform itself has, of course, access to all of the operators that's running on all the servers. So the UI in the dashboard will simply just ping the controller for an update, and the controller will then fetch from the
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have an infinite loop in your Go handler that is working with Datastar, and this thing is calling the operator in a sense.
I could do that. That's actually what I'm going to do on a broader scale, to be able to update the UI when you trigger a deployment. But for this one, there's no open connection. There's no for loops. It is just Datastar has this. I forget the name right now, but you can
there's a Datastar mechanism to call an endpoint at an interval.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will look up the name, but it's something like polling. It's basically
okay.
You can either do the one, where you keep the connection open, so you can have basically two-way communication, or you can just have the UI ping the front end the back end for updates, and then kind of just using a big morph. So everything that needs to get updated, right? And I believe Ben and Delaney talks about this can be more efficient if more people are, on the same page.
Totally.
Right?
Not only that, but if you were to tail your log as well, so as soon as there's one line, it just sends the new line. It does not send the huge blob of the entire log at each time.
I think what I really need to do is also, I'm debating if I want to add traces to the operator. I'm trying to keep it as minimal as possible, but that I could actually use that to get the IDs, because right now it's not really morphing correctly based on the IDs. Or maybe I could use the timestamp. That could also be a way. And then I should be able to also create a little search box where you can just search whatever is in the UI. And then have Datastar filtered out. That might also be a little what's the right word? a little quick way to get some log searching. Yeah.
How are you handling that? Because if I'm not mistaken, is the data, the raw data from the journal is, contains NC characters and whatnot. Those are probably not translating right away to HTML properly, right?
No, but I'm just grabbing the message output, right? So I don't know if that's what you're asking.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes there's colors when you are looking at that in your terminal, and I guess that those colors are in the terminal. Have some NC codes that will just not convert to HTML colors and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm just actually quickly trying to look it up now because I get the we specify service, we specify name, we specify duration, and then no pitch, and then output is short ISO. So I don't get any other real output than.
Okay, so it's the raw text that you're getting from the journal logs. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and then I just style it in the UI, right?
Okay, yeah, got it. Nice.
So that is moving along, but I think now is the time to get some to get some money in the bank again and let it live a little bit. See if people actually wanna pay for this or not. But yeah, it's getting to a very stable point on the application side. Then there's the whole telemetry, managed database side of things that likely will come, but will come a little bit slower, I think.
Yeah.
I would like to, because I've never run ClickHouse databases myself. This is what I'm thinking of using for telemetry data. I always either used AWS or Datadog, or also done a lot with Grafana stack, right? So kind of want to self run this thing on deploy create stuff before start offering that to customers, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
ClickHouse is pretty nice. Very very manageable. I did a course actually on building a Google Analytics kind of application in Go, and cool. Yeah, I was I wanted to demonstrate the columnar stats and whatnot. It's very, very, very quick compared to a Postgres. I did a segment on the course at some point where I do compare the exact data set from Postgres with ClickHouse, and wow, yeah, it's brutally destroying Postgres. But Postgres is not done for that as well.
No,
but yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
Yeah,
you need to explode your data a lot in that system. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to use Postgres for this, but it's not gonna be a thing if this gets any
Well, the scale,
a drop of success. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Where it gets this project gets any kind of success, this is never gonna scale, right? So it needs to be.
But on the other hand, if it's going to take you, I don't know, X amount of times to use ClickHouse versus just having the MVP with Postgres, this is something that I it's always evaluating the how much time will it take you to switch to ClickHouse if the scaling happen, because scaling does not happen from Monday to Tuesday. I mean, I remember when I was at LeadFuse, LeadFuse it was a SaaS that I was there as a CTO back in 2016. But the bottom line is that at some point it started to scale, not a crazy amount, but the task that was done there, which was like scraping LinkedIn, which anyways, but I quit the company, by the way, but that's not the point. But at some point, I mean, scaling, it does not really happen like during a night. So I mean, you could probably start with Postgres and at some point just move to, especially if your services is kind of well written, just swapping the database might not be a huge thing to change at some point.
No, and I mean that's a fair point. That could also be an option. I want to go in that path and I would like to. I think I would rather do that when things are small.
Yeah.
So so my plan is also to start opening up for people that can actually subscribe and then get like a discounted rate while things are still getting built. If something fails over in the beginning with like say 10 customers, it's easier to go in and help those 10 customers individually by hand to figure out where it's like I don't know if this is an English saying, but in Danish you kind of say like holes in the cheese to figure out where the problems are, right?
I don't know that. Yeah,
you don't know that? No,
no.
probably a Danish phrase then. Yeah, so I definitely was also just saying kind of like saying fuck it, wondering of just saying fuck it and then putting it in Postgres, but then since this is still early days, I think it would be easier to reason about doing it now because I also likely would have to play around with a lot of new technology that from my experience is always easier to do.
Sure, but the counterpart to that is that if you reach that, you will have time and money at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a trade-off versus, well, if you want to jump into ClickHouse and because you want to learn and things like that, that's different. But if your main goal is to ship this thing, well, because Postgres, when I said that Postgres versus ClickHouse in my example was abysmal. I mean, it was like in the 20 million rows and whatnot. It's under 10 millions, there were not much difference.
Yeah.
So it's just at a certain point, which it's what I'm trying to say. It's like from the 10 million to 20 million rows, you still have a gap. You still have time. You still have time to react to something happening.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, yeah,
it's true. It's true. And I'm not saying it won't like could also just go that way. And to get it out there, I just. Yeah, it's not
just something to think about. I just wanted to plant that seed in your mind and say, well, what is important to you at the moment?
Yeah.
Is it to ship faster or you want to handle a scale that might not be there, for I don't know 1 year, 1.5 year.
Yeah, it's true. But I also I have researched also what you could do with Postgres. I also know that is this called Pacone or Postcone or Pacone is something with PER something that also did an extension for Postgres or they ship in their version of Postgres for optimized for open telemetry data. So it's not out of the question that I could do this in Postgres.
But anyway, ClickHouse is not long to implement as well and things like that. I was not trying to change your mind or whatever. I'm just saying that sometimes we tend to do some things at the beginning that might derange you from the main goal. Derail you from the main goal.
That is definitely true. That is definitely true.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. So you don't currently have a way to test your system locally, let's say with Podman or Docker and things like that. So you run a series of tests and it provision a server in a Docker way. So that's what I was trying to ask earlier when I was saying testing, not testing in a real server, but do you have some way to automate, a fake deployment on a throwaway container that you could just, boot up and delete at will?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I've really tried to find something that also would work nice in a CI system because I need access to. So the way whenever I provision a server, I run specific hardening stuff, and I give it permission to do specific things, and those specific things it can use sudo for. so I don't run into the you need a password issue, but it's also very narrow, this subset of things it can do with sudo, but it still needs sudo. And that is not really something that you typically do in Docker images because it's more on an application level. And I also need systemd or systemd service access. And I did found a Docker image that had that. But then you need to rely on different kinds of processes, and it doesn't really work. So there's another one called Incus that I have done some work with and tried to make it work, but always end up being like this. Like I might as well just provision a new server, and that cost me $5, and then I can delete that server. Yeah. So going back to your point about like trying to spend the time in the right place, right? Because that totally. Long term will Incus probably be the better option, because I do run into things where, because there's so many layers that I have to have in my head to test things where I was like, I just want to do this locally so I can write like a golden file test or something. But it's for now, I don't want to spend like 2 days with Incus to set it up, which is probably what I need to do longer term, right? Yeah. So for now, it's a cheap Hetzner server that I can delete or
totally.
Right?
Yeah, good point.
But there's still there's also the whole rollout process, because ideally when people get onto the product, the create operator should be in this core as so stable that I don't really need to update anything in the API, but I do have the option to roll it out, and I'm going to roll it out in like batches and do, again, some telemetry to see, does it succeed, does it not succeed, right? But it's also like the whole flow of continuously installing, updating, getting that as robust and stable as possible, right? Because it's gonna be hard. Let's just not say if, but when I get 1,000 customers and something goes wrong and I have to SSH, and I can't even SSH into their servers, right? I have to write them and ask them, can you give me a key? Give me your SSH key so I can go into your server, which is going to be a hassle.
Give me your SSH key. There's no problem there.
This is totally not a scam. Yeah.
Nice.
So, that's the state of the project.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And what about you?
I finally shipped version 1.7 of StaticBackend.
Nice.
Yeah. And before we go into some details, I post on Reddit.
Okay.
And it got caught by their bot. There's this bot at the moment. They are preventing I'm talking about /r/Golang. They are preventing people from posting too much, small projects and whatnot. It was caught by that. The title was something like, I don't recall the title, something like, maintaining an old Go application is the opposite of other languages. And I unarchive my 7 years old project, which wasn't the title. So unfortunately, I was not there when the post got live, because obviously at some point the mods unblocked that. I still have like 61 upvote, which is very, very nice. I think. I think my post was interesting because I've been maintaining old C# and .NET application in my career. Before I was so. It always amazed me how Go is good at these things. Just being stable. The backward compatibility that we have with the version 1 is very much underrated. When you jump back into an old project or any kind of Go program that you left for a couple of months, even years, it just feels right. And I haven't seen that in any other languages that I've used. Especially .NET, especially at the beginning, because at the beginning, like I was replying on the Reddit, it was mainly framework upgrades and whatnot, and now it's not really your code, but at some point your code isn't working with the new quote unquote version that Microsoft wanted to ship.
Yeah.
So that was killing us. When I say us, I mean the small company where I were alone. but again, version 1.7, very nice. I think this thing is pretty stable. I do have that's what I was asking about tests, because I'm pretty satisfied about how tests are working in StaticBackend. I do have a suite for Postgres and Mongo and a SQLite and the in-memory provider. So all the providers are, I think properly tested, around 75 percentage coverage, which is not a metric that I'm interested usually and whatnot, but it's just nice to see that. Well, on paper this work, and on production it work as well, because I'm using it in production, so should be good.
Nice.
A lot of features related to user management. So, a user can now be part of multiple accounts. So that was something that I needed, and a lot of cleanup. There's this server side functions that are executed on a runtime. Basically, I'm using Goja. So Goja is this library that can execute JavaScript in a sense, but you cannot, you don't have ES6. It's just like the old ECMAScript 5 code that you can execute there. And I have created a huge runtime on top of that. So when you are inside your server-side function, you can call all the functionality of StaticBackend in a sense. Mm-hmm. So you can do all the CRUD operation, the full text search, creating index. You can play with the cache. You can do all of it from the server side. It went well. It was nice to release something. I released the 1.6 version when I unarchived it, but it was mainly just making sure that the application was running and whatnot. There were not huge bug fix or anything, new feature and whatnot. So now, and my cadence is like I release at twice per year. So at each 6 months, I do have an next version, which is because it's pretty involving to do the release. There's 3 npm packages. I hate npm. Releasing the Go libraries is just pushing and tagging a commit. That is how things should be. But there's this CLI and there's the JavaScript and the Node libraries that needs to be pushed to npm and whatnot.
Yes.
So that was interesting. The CLI is pretty nice. So I've been building my own SaaS entirely with the CLI. So the CLI allows you to build or to have a 100% identical, server instance that all run in memory. So you have the caching, you have the file storage, you have the database, you have the real-time WebSocket operation. All of this does not require any services on your development machine. So you just do backend server, and boom, you have everything that you need to start building your application. And when you move to production, it's just two small things that you need to change in an environment variables, and now you're using the real thing. So it's pretty nice.
So maybe I misunderstood, but do you spin up the database and everything on your servers?
It's a data, it's a memory provider. So all of the services do have this interface that I re-implemented a memory version. So the caching, which usually use a Redis, a compatible service, in development, well, it's fully local. So I re-implemented a PubSub, all in Go and whatnot. The database is just simply, maps that, So yes, so everything is re-implemented as a memory provider, if you will. So basically, the CLI brings the server itself and just configure it like, you know what, you are in a mode that you need to run in memory for now. Okay. And so I'm able to reuse the same exact it's not the binary. I'm bringing the package so that I have this core package, StaticBackend /core, which is included as the dependencies in the CLI. And this is exactly what I'm using. So basically, the endpoint is all using the same endpoint, but since everything is configured as in memory, then you are completely free to be your phone is.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That is good. But yeah, you're completely free, so you have nothing to install. So I mean, I do like this. I do like this a lot. And you can just pass backend server -- persist to use the SQLite provider, if you will. So now all the data will be persisted to your disk. So that is useful if you don't want to restart fresh at each time. But yeah, this is this is getting pretty mature, to be frank. So I'm again trying to just get some traction. I don't know exactly who is this target at the moment. No. Clearly not the Gophers, because but what I like to get from the Go community is obviously some some interest. At some point I had this Discourse server. We were about 40 or 50, but yeah. Discourse is not that's really good for me anymore. No. But anyways, I lost the domain as well. I lost I shut down when I archived the project. I terminated everything. So now I'm trying to restart a little bit. But again, I did that for me, and it's not terrible if I'm the only one using it. I think it kind of show what I can do. The platform is pretty big. And it was all done before LLM. So yes, I have written all the lines of code. Maybe not the latest test, because now I'm using LLM to generate some tests, because it's pretty verbose out there. But all the implementation is good. So nice. So yeah. So one thing I was trying to see if I could bring that at some point for the server side function, is that I would love to let people build their function in any kind of language and just compile that to assembly, WebAssembly, and just have a runner there. So that could be good, because the runtime that I do have at the moment, you cannot bring any dependencies. So it's just good old JavaScript that runs on the server plus the entire runtime that I'm offering.
Yeah.
So that could be, that could be a good project to work on. But again, it's mainly just my need at the moment. So I'm not building anything, because there's no demand, or there's nothing there. So of course I could lose myself into building a lot of features and whatnot. But what's the point? Because nobody is using it other than me, which. Which it's something that I'm trying to change. But again, maybe I will start to do some YouTube video and whatnot. Maybe try to get some coverage there, because it's pretty impressive when you look about when you just start the server and you are able to build an entire application especially with LLM these days. So LLM can just do a lot of things, and at least you can know that the backend is secured in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I think the YouTube or the streaming part might be the way to go to really like drive it home how fast it is. I think that's like the just having a demo to watch is always
yeah. There's a small video on the homepage, but yeah, I think trying to bring some people from YouTube could be interesting, maybe by showing how easy it could be to create. Rails have this 15-minute blogs. So with static backend, it's like 1 minute. So, but I did a how they call that? A meetup at some point. It was not in person, but it was I think it was JavaScript Boston or something like that.
Yeah.
And I presented the static backend there. So there's a couple of things out there in the internet, but they are all linked in the README on GitHub and whatnot. But again, I don't know. It's very hard, and I don't really understand because it's pretty close to Supabase in terms of what it do. There's a lot of things that it does that Supabase don't do, like just sending email, for example. So I don't know if they have that now. I stopped watching at them in 2022 and whatnot, but they were not having any kind of this. And I do have a function to convert HTML to PDF, for example. There's a lot of things. I like to say that static backend is all the backend feature that typical web application needs. It's all done there,
Yeah.
And the channel based communication is pretty strong as well. So I've done some example. There's some example on the blog where I'm building live chat or collaboration simulation of some application of some sorts, where one party types something and from one side the other, all the other parties are seeing that. So it's already built in. You join a channel, so you can have a small group of people, sharing data and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot there. There's there's some event based as well, events that you can react and just execute the server side function. So when let's say you have a table X and you want to execute something when there's a create on that, so you can do all of this with the server side function. So you define your server side function with a special naming convention, and now boom, you it's like having a trigger on the database. It's just that it executes after the create, but
Nice.
still there's a lot of things that can be done with this server.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see some videos about it. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think so. But again, maybe I don't know where it blocks. It has been the blocker since the beginning. And when I launched, crazy enough, I was having someone paying $100 per month in the GitHub sponsor. So.
Okay.
I mean, that gave me so much confidence, but again, I don't know. I don't know. I never really were able to generate traction at all, which is, I don't know. It feels strange because again, on the other hand, you have Supabase with this, I don't know, $120 million in founding, and you have me that is not even capable of getting, I do have like, I don't know, 725 stars on GitHub, but I want people complaining. I want people saying, "Wow, this thing is not working," or "This thing is working." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is hard. That is hard because I probably don't have a clue about who this thing is targeting, and that is the problem.
Yeah, but there's also a certain element of, I think, luck around it, but also like it's a difficult decision of when do you kill something and when do you continue working on it, and
Yeah,
maybe it's time, because also Peter Levels, the famous indie hacker bootstrapper, was notorious for that 12 months, 12 startups challenge that I saw. What is his name? His guy behind VP Engine or something. He has the thing called Bear Block or something like, I don't know. Jason Cohen.
Oh, Jason Cohen. Yeah.
Where he was like, also he was criticizing it because it is also, a month for anything is not really a lot of
It
time.
takes time to build a good software,
Right,
and good business.
Yeah, exactly. So also like people pointing out like, so let's say you got like a few customers in that month, and then you just say goodbye because it's not worth your while. That's also like, so yeah, it's a tricky decision. That's also why I like with deploy crate being like, now this part of where hosting like application that is stable, and then let it live for a while, see if you can find a way to gain traction, and then take it slowly from there. But yeah, it is strange that something just takes off and other things doesn't. But again, like, I'm sure if you were to raise like a couple of $1 million and then pour it into the creator economy engine, I mean, it will change a lot,
Yeah, totally. But yeah, that is not something I would want to do. So basically, I'm trying to, well, quote unquote, bootstrap something that probably is, requires funding. This type of application. Developer tools are very hard to bootstrap, but it's doable. It's not like it's not doable. If you look at a good example for that is it's on the Ruby world. There's this guy that built is it like a task executor or scheduler or whatever, a queue system and whatnot. I don't recall the name anymore. Sidekick, yeah, Sidekick.
Yeah, Sidekick.
So, okay, yeah. So they very, very successful and whatnot. But again, I mean, it can happen without funding and whatnot. But yeah, the problem is that how do you put the word out? And to be frank, I did have 2 or 3 paying customers at some point, which was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. But again, I will try to do the minimal, at least, trying to talk about it. Maybe try some YouTube video and whatnot. But again, it's hard.
I think that's also where, like, especially when you're doing this from a developer, as a developer, where you're like, but I'm doing so much marketing, and you like, if you really like, if I look myself in the mirror and be like, how much marketing have I really done? I have done one demo video, which got like 800, 900 views on YouTube, which I know doesn't sound a lot, but when you're building the channel, it can. That's a big video for me, right? Because of the current size of everything. And that took me 3 hours, but it took me 3 hours because of my neighbors loving to drill all day, every day. The actual production of this video took me roughly 30 minutes, right?
Wow.
That's also why it's like, I'm also trying to be better at like, okay, now stop building now. Like, stop it. Write some blog posts, make some videos, text some people on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever, right? Send somebody an email. I think it's very easy to get, because like I also have another friend who also is bootstrapping a personal finance app. And the thing we always joke about is that now is marketing week, and then we end up building all the week anyways,
Famous trap.
Yeah, it's such a trap, because the whole ad engine, I think, has gotten gamed so much that it's, again, if you don't have a couple of $1 million in VC capital, VC funding, then it's really hard to get anything out of of ads, and especially it's really difficult to make ads be profitable. You might get users, but do you actually get a positive ROI? I don't think so for a lot of products, right?
But for static backend, I'm not looking at all at revenue. I would be very happy with just some open source usage, but that is even more difficult to build a good open source project that people are using and whatnot. It seems to be very hard, because I don't believe that I the only way that I would do money with static backend is if someone were to say, you know what, let's build it further. Let's try to compete with the VCs, competitor in that space and whatnot. That is the only way I could even believe that it would be possible to have money. But even that is crazy. I'm not even sure I would do that.
No.
Because of the life that now you have it's not really where I want to be.
No. You just need to add some AI features, then there's money.
Well, yeah, I changed a little bit the copy on the website. Now the H1 is saying it's the
static AI.
It's your LLM. I don't even LLM backend copilot. Over. I don't even know what I said, but I'm just trying some things here and there.
Yeah, actually, funny because we got a message in the Slack channel, by the way. Where last week we talked about Ruby on Rails and LLMs, and Tim was in and talked about his experience. I just thought this was a good bridge over to that, because he basically, I think he confirms a lot of what we were, at least what I was postulating around like Rails and LLMs, right? And I also think it maps a lot over to what you were talking about on the front end side with React, for example, where he was basically like it was really like token efficient, and it knew what it had to do and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this a couple of episodes ago. I mentioned a tweet that I've seen that someone have done a kind of quote unquote research, and Ruby was the least costly token in terms of tokens. So yeah. Go was in the middle, Haskell was at the end, and things like that. So yeah, I don't have difficulties to believe that those things are, because you're leveraging the framework in a sense. So yeah,
and being in the, I still think a big part of this is being in the training data, because sure. the concepts, as I also talked about last time, is just, I don't think it's enough, because I'm like I literally built Endodal to be very close to Rails, at least in philosophy, right? And it still doesn't really write good in the model view controller framework, whatever code. It invents all these little weird methods and things, and it's kind of duplicated, kind of not, right? So you get a lot from these like human designed constructs that then have a lot of documentation and is in the training data. So it seems like I have to try and also build something with Ruby on Rails in the near future, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
You will build that, or you will let the LLM build it?
No, I'm gonna let the LLM try and build it. I want to see. I want to see if I'm what this side of the fence looks like with purely, not purely necessarily, but letting the LLM drive in a framework that has existed for 20 years and has a lot of
totally. It's so easy to get started with something new these days.
Yeah.
So yeah. When I say something new, I mean in rapport to you. I haven't done much Java in my life. I always kept far away from that. But today, if I were to need to modify something, well, I'm a little bit more, confident that I would be able to do that, because it's not me that I need to learn all this thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn Java, man.
No, nobody wants to, I think.
That's a pact that I've done with myself at the beginning of my career. So Java is that's why I cannot work in a company these days, because they are all using Java or .NET.
Yeah. It's the same feeling for me. At least in Denmark, they love those two technologies, and almost it's most of my, sometimes when I have recruiter conversations, the fact that I don't use those languages, they're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Is that
what are you
else?
using? And you say Go, and nobody knows what it is.
Yeah. Like I had a client at one point, but they were like, they hadn't heard of Go, so they were like, obviously, like, is this like because they literally asked me if this was a stable language, I was like, it has like 10 years. It's been existed. I'm speaking to Spanish now. It has existed for 10 years. Built in Google and blah blah blah. Like it's the language that wrote Kubernetes that you also used, right? So I'm pretty sure it's gonna stick around. But that's true. So gonna try and explore some purely generated LLM rails at one point, I think, just to see how it feels like, and then how fast you can actually go with these kind of things. But I'm still certain, not certain. I can't say I'm certain. I'm relatively positive that's some of my conclusions around LLMs is true. That don't they should not be the driver. You should be the driver. You should write the code yourself, and you should for as much as possible you use them as a research tool or like a throwaway kind of tool.
I don't know if I'm sensing a small shift. I think we might be finally arriving at the top of the curve.
Yeah.
And hopefully we are there. Hopefully there's more and more people that just, I don't know.
I definitely think so, because I just had it in my mind. I completely forgot what I was about to. Like, I joked about it in the beginning. Yeah, it was it's a advantage to understand your code base, right? Which was the guy behind Flask, the Python framework, was out actually talking about this on Twitter, that he was talking to someone, and this was a solo developer that could not explain his product in a call with him without asking Claude, right? And this is probably something that has been normalized a little bit, I think, because the big operators has put so much money in the marketing part of, you don't need to know your code, right? And if you don't need to know your code, why should you also really understand what your project does? Wow. And that's sentiment you can actually see starting to. I think a lot more people are questioning it, because there's like this doesn't sound right. Like if you're the orchestrator, you should still understand what you're orchestrating, right? You don't get to wave the wand in front of a 50 people quartet or whatever it's called to play a concert if you haven't done the work for many years. And I think this is what people are starting to realize again. And actually, the guy who wrote or created the LLM harness called Pi had retweeted an article where he also talked about, like, slow down, write the code yourself, all these kind of things. And they also matched a lot of my thoughts on it. I had created some notes for myself that I then retweeted his retweet with that picture, right? And a lot of people were in and bookmarking that tweet and both of the tweets. So I think people are starting to want better guidelines for how to use LLMs, and they're kind of starting to realize that this is not gonna take all of our jobs, and you're definitely not gonna just gonna be spinning up 6, 8, 10, whatever many instances of Claude Code to build a SaaS or a startup or a company in the near future.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
Not only that, but I don't know if you have this yourself when you're coding. It's like, for me, it's almost like meditating. It's something that I'm missing a lot these days since the apparition of the LLMs and whatnot. Before I started my day and I was like, okay, what I'm going to tackle today, and took my headphones, play my music, and it was just me in the code. That moment was great. Multiple hours of just back and forth, writing code, compiling, testing, whatnot. That flow was great. I'm still doing that a couple of times per, some more than two, but let's say I don't know. It's not the majority of my day now. And I feel very bad about that. And that was something that I talked with John Arundel at some point, way before I started to use LLM. And I was saying, for me, it's all about, this is what I like to do. I don't want not to write the code. Why would I do that? I'm a programmer, and this is what I like to do. Otherwise, it's just a boring job. I mean, to me, if I don't have the satisfaction of solving a problem myself while writing code, I don't have the rush of adrenaline, or call it what you want, the sentiment of succeeding to do something myself. That is what I like. That is the reason why I'm programming. So I think there's a lot of people that never really had this feeling, and now they do have it, because now they suddenly can do things. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of programmers that, were not really able to build system and whatnot themselves. They were working their 9 to 5 and do a couple of things here and there and things like that. But now they are able to just achieve things that they could not do before. And that is good. That is good for them. And that's not what I'm saying. But me, myself, I like to have problems, and I like to to solve it myself. What I do appreciate about the LLM now is that, well, when I'm really stuck, instead of going to search and read a lot of things that might not be as relevant as it should be, now I can just, I have this problem. What should I do? What do you think about X, Y, and Z and things like that? And now this unblocks me, and I continue. That flow to me is great, because I can stay in my focus zone. Yeah. It's true. But I'm missing that a lot. To be all day in that, just me and the code. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun it is fun to solve it. Also, you start to feel, at least I start to feel disconnected. Like it feels weird to say that I have reconnected with a project, but my severely limitation of using AI has really made me reconnect with the project and having a sense and a feeling for it again, right? And understanding a bit more, like what is the right direction, and also I'm still convinced that I don't think I've had a net gain from using AI, which I think is a healthy thing to see, because this is something you only see after a longer period of using it, because it's definitely something when you use it in the beginning, it's hard to see how you would not gain efficiency from using these tools. But I'm very, very confident in my conclusion that a lot of these things that I have built would have ultimately been better and faster had I not used AI written code for it. Yes, totally. It's so easy, I think, to get, because you see it in the beginning and it generates code that looks like good code,
and then you continue and you let it do more and more and more, and I think it just ends up in a pile of mess because there's no intelligence behind it. That's the fact that I also tweeted about this last week, that I am starting to readjust my mind to outputting a normal amount of code per week, because I felt behind all week. I felt so much behind, and I was like, what the hell did I do? And then I talked to my wife about it. She was like, but Morten, you have been working for 8 hours. Yeah, I'm sure you have done something. It's like, yeah, that's actually, I've actually been coding for almost 7 hours and then done some other stuff, right? So then I look at it, it's like, yeah, I have actually produced code, but I have not produced 10,000 lines of code, which was kind of what you were starting to get used to doing a little bit with AI, right?
So, it's a vicious circle for sure. When I started, I kind of let that thing do the front end and the back end at the beginning, and I was writing less and less code. And I think I said that to you in an episode at some point. At some point I was returning to type some Go, and I was like, what? What is the error? It's not error.string. It's, I was losing. Wait a minute. I've been writing Go for the last 12 years. What is going on here? So that was a super wake up call for me. I mean, wow, the skills are very quick to be lost. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, deteriorate, right?
Yeah. Crazy. So I don't know. I don't know. But again, people that keep raving about LLMs might not find good happiness in trying themselves. That is the problem, probably. That is why it's still popular, because programming is hard.
Yeah. I also think it's a question of time, where people would use these. You have to use this thing, because I'm trying to finish an article about like this whole epiphany, for lack of a better word, around AI usage. Where I like, through the act of writing out my thoughts about it, I actually started to think about how I initially used GitHub Copilot, which I don't know if you have used GitHub Copilot. Never.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it. I think it's a way better. If you have to use AI, I would probably prefer that, because I am still more in touch with the code. But there was this term that started to emerge with the GitHub the Copilot pause, where you would write a few letters and then you would wait for the suggestion to come. And that, I think it was the Primagen or something that made a video about it. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. what the fuck? I'm doing this right now. And then, like, this is not healthy. And then, that kind of like, hold on, wait a minute experience just came again with the coding harnesses and them just like puking out words for half a day, where it's like, hey, what, I don't understand what's going on anymore. I probably should, because this is like my advantage as a developer, right? That I know what it should look like and how it should be structured and all those kind of things. So it's interesting to see how these things, it's kind of like the same thing over and over. Also, you saw the models get released and they are really good, and then they get slowly worse. And now we're seeing GitHub Copilot changing their plans, so you can't even. I don't think you can. You couldn't sign up when they made the announcement. They shut off all signups. They changed the plans for already paying customers. It didn't matter if you paid like a year up front or whatever. It was just
really?
Yeah. There was like, I saw there was one guy who was like, but I just paid for the pro plan because it had Opus 4.6, and now we moved that to the plus plan, and I just renewed for another year. And it was a huge mess. But also like the financials, I forget them, but I think it was something like, for every $1 you spent, you would they were like, I don't know, it was $25 in tokens you got back. It was crazy numbers, and it didn't work for them.
Yeah, no, sure.
Right. So they also moving over to token or usage based plans, and that's likely what we're gonna see. Like if you
at this point it's not faster anymore.
No.
Yeah, Claude. The last couple of times that I used that with the small thing, the Sonnet 4.6, whatever. You are reaching the limits so fast that I was like, you know what? I could have write that myself.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
That's the thing. And I think if you could have like a full-blown state-of-the-art model just for you locally, then this whole thing would be different. Like this would be a different question. Then I would be more worried. But because like my adventures into local LLMs definitely tells me that, okay, they are actually usable, which did not used to be the case, right? But they feel almost as usable as whenever Claude is online or OpenAI is online, but they have nerfed the model so much that, at least to me, it feels like the general output was sort of on par with whatever you got from the big models, right? So no, and they're moving over to enterprise plans. They are like, if you have Hermes.md or OpenClaw.md, it's like they are literally looking for names in your project, and then if you have those names, they will route you over to extra usage and charge you instead of using your subscription. And you can't use. They have like I'm going to rave a little bit because they have like the CLI you can do like Claude space -p and then put your prompt in, and then it's just like a CLI command, which you cannot do anymore because that was how a lot of the other CLI tools would use it, right? Because then you could programmatically send off a prompt, and it was also how I used it in the beginning because they were like, you can just like live your best life, Morten. He has like free amount of tokens, so I will just be like, okay, take this product and convert it over to this coding language, right? And then just have it run in a loop, which is also what one of the we talked about, I think. Right. So that is not possible anymore unless you want to pay for it with real life money. I saw the guy behind OpenClaw talking about he was not really, he was like exploring the future of how this could be, and then he was showing at like a UI where he said he spent like $1.3 million in tokens. Where like, what are you exploring, man? You're not exploring. Like, what is the return of this thing that you can check your calendar and you can build a UI? Like, are you kidding me? What am I getting here for $1.3 million, right? Whereas like I could hire a team of developers for 1.3, right? That will do a better job of creating this like I could even hire people to answer the phone for you. That will, I don't know. It's just It's crazy that and it is interesting what he's doing. I'm not saying that it's not interesting. It's just when you look at the financial and being like, oh, we're exploring how this could look like. It's like, this cannot look like that for what? It's crazy amount of money.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like you better invent a cure for cancer with because it's so simple what is actually being built, right?
Wow. Yeah, the economics that does not work. Listeners, the programming skills are still valuable in the future. Don't worry.
Yeah, having skills is still an advantage. That's definitely, I think, the title of today, or the conclusion of today, at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, Morten. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
All right. So we will talk next week.
See you next week, man. Bye.
Bye.